Hi everyone, Agnes here, and I'm here with Hamza to talk about self-love. Hello, Hamza.
Hi everyone. Very pleased to be here. Talk about self-love, one of our favorite topic.
Hamza and I love this topic because we know that it sits underneath and is the foundation of everything else you want to manifest. And it really helps you to have a more comfortable daily life, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. So, what we thought we would do today is answer some specific questions. What is self love? Why do people not love themselves? And we're going to go through the four stages of self love: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So, Hamza, we're going to start with what is it? What is self love?
Yeah, so self-love again is a very broad concept, and it has very different dimensions. But on a very basic level, someone who's a beginner, I would say it's an unshakable belief in your self-worth. So it's basically believing in yourself, having good sense of self-worth. And yeah, that's how I look at it as a starter. And yeah, basically loving yourself enough to accept yourself as you are.
Mm.
So that's the starting point of self-love.
Yes. And I think one of the really, really big self love potholes are people constantly criticizing and judging themselves for how they look. So we're going to start with the physical self love.
Yeah, I mean, before we jump into physical, I quickly want to talk about why is it so hard for people to love themselves. Because a lot of times when you bring this topic, there's a myth that self-love is selfish, and somehow people see it that if they prioritize themselves, it's gonna make them look selfish. But it's the opposite actually, because you cannot give away from an empty plate. Only when your
Mm.
plate is full can you actually give back to people, to your family, to your loved ones. So any work that you do on yourself is going to help you be the person that you want to be, for your loved ones. So that's number one. And number two, two, three reasons why people don't love themselves or they are hesitant to embrace self-love. Number one is past experiences. It could be childhood trauma or any negative event which can leave people
Mm.
in a perpetual resentful state. Uh, and forgiveness, they're unable to forgive themselves. So, secondly, could be guilt for past mistakes. Obviously, we all make mistakes, but sometimes we hold on to guilt for too long, and people can't get over their past mistakes, which makes it difficult for them to embrace this whole concept of self-forgiveness and self-love.
Mm.
Yeah, and number three, I think why it's difficult for people to love themselves is also this whole idea of comparison, because now we live in a social media world, and whenever you're looking, checking Instagram, watching the best of, you're watching the highlights, of
Mm.
other people. And that makes us think that, oh, this is real life. And then that makes you look bad and it brings down your own happiness levels. And I think it also negatively affects your sense of self-esteem when you see those perfect bodies, perfect people. So yeah, this is also something which is not very healthy.
Yeah, I agree. I think the pulling away from comparing is such a wonderful self loving thing to do. And for those of us that work on our self love internally, also externally, which we're going to go into the four categories in a minute, but you get to the point where your self love is about withdrawing from those activities of comparing, whether it's people that you know, whether it's people on social media or anywhere. You really protect yourself mentally and emotionally from doing that to yourself, and that's a self-loving act, is that you do that, and you do it until you get more solid and secure within your own self that when you do see those things, you're not bothered by it anymore. And I think that that's where you can aim for. That can happen over time, because I know you and I are, after years of working on our self-love, we are not, let's say, fish hooked by those things like we were, say, 5 or even 10 years ago. So for those of you that are watching today, we can both, Hamza and I, tell you, it gets so much easier. You feel so much better. You feel so much freer, and you feel happy to be in your own skin. And it is a wonderful place to be.
It's a recipe for everlasting peace and happiness.
Yes.
Nothing can actually give you the feeling that a good self-love, routine will do.
Yes. So now we're going into self-love, self-care on the 4 levels. And Hamza, you are really excellent on the physical level, especially with the work that you do with people in physical training, but also putting the self-love into that work that you do with others. What do you think comes up when people are working on their physical self-love? What's something that comes up as blocks?
So with physical, I would put physical and mental together because of the mind and body, connection. There's a very strong connection, mind and body to work together. So with physical and mental, we are looking primarily, basically, the whole idea of taking care of your body and nurturing your mind and body. Now, there are different ways to do that. First, let's start with physical exercise. I think it's the best form of self-care, because exercise is not, this is what I talk a lot. It's not just about losing fat. Exercise is about, it has a lot of physical health benefits, about strengthening your bones and muscles, and then regulating your insulin levels. And on the mental side, exercise has been shown scientifically to be the best antidote for stress and depression. Because when we exercise, we release those happy hormones that get us in the feeling, relaxed and calm feeling, which is why people always feel good after they finish a fitness class, or after they finish, let's say some physical activity. So for physical well-being, exercise, number one, and also it goes beyond physical well-being and has transformational effects on our mental health. And then I would say nutrition. I mean, nutrition is so important in terms, it's not again about putting on weight or losing weight. I think what we eat has a direct impact on how we feel. It has direct impact on our mood and on our energy levels. So, and I always ask my clients, people who struggle with, cravings, or who struggle with overcoming addiction with junk food or sugar, that if you truly loved yourself, would you treat your body with this junk? It's a question of self-love. It's not a question of craving. Fundamentally, we again come down to self-love, that if you truly loved your body, would you indulge in this specific choice? Because if you love yourself, to begin with, then that means you would be feeding yourself healthy food, because then healthy food becomes an act of self-care, over anything.
Yeah.
So when we talk about physical, I think, getting your nutrition in order and having a schedule for exercise. And number 3, which is very, very important, I would say the most underrated health tool, and a lot of research now is pointing towards it, is the sleep. Your sleep is so important. I mean, your sleep has a direct impact on your immunity. It has a direct impact on your metabolic function, and also in terms of your mood and energy the next day. So when you sleep well, you're relaxed, you're calm, you are in good energy. Whereas when you don't sleep well, you're just cranky, and your energy, your vibration is low. And that's when I think those of you who are trying to manifest, let's say, whatever you're trying to manifest, if you don't have good sleep, it's going to be a blockage to your manifestation. nutrition. So you need to prioritize your sleep. And now there are a lot of hacks around optimizing your sleep, and you can always, reach out and I can give you specific guidance on how to optimize your sleep. But food, exercise, and sleep, these three pillars, I think they go down in your physical self-love.
Yeah. And then you're able to, because you're not tired and grumpy, your mental state is more able to then do the other things that can help to improve your self-love, which is meditations, affirmations, and there's a whole long list of other things that you on Instagram have talked about and I've talked about here on YouTube. So it's getting to the place where you are able to use your mind in its best possible optimum state because you're not hindered by lack of sleep.
Yeah.
And that is, I agree with you.
This very interesting concept, it's called the athlete principle. So this principle says that you got to look after yourself like an athlete looks after body. Because at the end of the day, no matter what you do, you are a mind which is powered by a physical body and a brain, right? So basically, you want to make sure that your physical body and brain are operating at an optimal level.
That's it.
Performance for productivity, even in your professional work. And if you can take care of your brain and your physical body, which is again through exercise, through sleep, through nutrition, these three pillars, I think you're just going to set yourself for massive success in terms of wealth, ideas, productivity, focus, and even relationships.
Yeah, I've been coaching a few people in the last few weeks, and many of them are getting 4 to 5 hours a night. That's it. And are struggling with all sorts of not being able to focus at work, not being able to meditate, skin issues, and also irritability with everyone around them. So sleep has a real knock-on effect with everything that we touch and everything that we come into contact with during our day. So yeah, Hamza and I are really big on the sleep and definitely on the food, and that too.
Because we have lost our sleep in the past.
Yeah.
Through difficult times. So now we know what's valuable and what to prioritize. And I think there's
That's
nothing
right.
than your own. Nothing in the world is worth your sleep and peace of mind.
That's it. That's it in a nutshell. Now, because we've discussed the physical and the mental, those two parts of self-love then have a knock-on effect onto the emotional state as well. So emotional self-love, what would you suggest?
So by emotional self-love, I think number one is emotional resilience. And emotional resilience basically means how do you respond to a particular situation, in life. Now, do you see yourself overreacting? Because obviously life is full of uncomfortable events and experiences, and they're going to be events that you don't anticipate or you didn't ask for. And like they say, it's not the event actually that happens, it's what we make of the event. And what you make of the event basically comes down to your state in that particular situation. If you have good sleep, if you're in good energy, your response is always going to be different from someone who hasn't slept well, who is hungry, who's dehydrated. So I see clients all the time, they come from work, they are like super hyper, they're angry, they bring their anger in the gym from work. And then, or you get a text and you instantly want to get back, to the person and text back in your anger. And then I always tell them, okay, breathe, take a break. If you write this text 24 hours later and if you send this email, let's say a few hours later, it's going to be a very different email than the one. And that is
Yes.
emotional resilience, how you cope, how you respond to, let's say, events like death, somebody's illness, or any unforeseen, unfortunate event. It all comes down to your energy in that particular, which is emotional
Yeah.
resilience. And fitness, again, is going to help you regulate your emotional resilience, because It helps you get in that relaxed, calmer state. I see people, a lot of clients who say they prefer to work out before going to work. And one of the reasons they always tell me is that they are much calmer at work. If they do work out before office, they're less likely to yell at people, they're less likely to snap, and they have better decision making and mental
Yeah.
clarity.
Yeah.
So that's I would say is emotional resilience number one. And then there's another dimension of emotional self-love, which is the whole idea of boundaries, which is so important. So you need to establish clear boundaries around you, in your relationships and at work. Because that's until and unless you have boundaries, you cannot really blame people. Because through boundaries, you teach people how to treat you. So boundaries around equality, boundaries about what are the things you're going to accept, what are the things that are, deal breaker. So you need to set them clear, because once you have the boundaries, then people know the rules, and that's how you get your mental peace and your emotional state.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think setting the boundaries, first getting clear about what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, but then also it's clearing doing the inner child work, getting the old emotions out, because it's often what's happening now. It scratches that old raw pink nerve of what happened back then. And that's why we have such outbursts and reactions, or even just triggers. You might be an introvert who doesn't really outwardly show your emotions, but your internal explosion, it's more imploded rather than exploded. So either way, neither one of those can be very good, especially in the workplace, in romantic sexual relationships, in your family, with your best friends, all of these things. You then have to go back and correct, fix, apologize, or explain. So if you can pause, I like what you said about pausing when the text comes through and saying, I'm going to wait. I think self-restraint is one of the greatest parts of self-love, emotional self-love, is waiting, thinking it through, let the emotions pass, and then you can act, respond, or whatever. And that takes maturity. It does take maturity.
And there are few exercises out there. I mean, I recommend this. So whenever you want to have an outburst, through an email or through a text, especially people in relationships when they want to get back to their partner, with all sorts of
yeah.
always tell them, okay, write down the text, pen it down, on a paper or on a phone, but don't send it. Write it in your notes section that way, because, writing is a very powerful form of regulating your emotions. And so once you let it out through the process of journaling, and then come back to that text few hours, or I would say sleep on it.
Yes.
Get to sleep, wake up in the morning. I can guarantee you are going to be sending a very different text the next day.
Yeah.
So this is
usually a more mature text.
more mature, a more calmer text.
Yeah.
And a kind of text that will actually get you a positive response back.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. I know when people say something to me and it triggers something off, I've learned over the years to say, okay, I'll think about that and I'll get back to you. That gives me time, especially if someone's in front of you, to break the fight or flight response. You've got time to go, okay. And then they go, oh, okay. They feel heard. They know you're going to think about it. And then, like you say, it often goes much better because you didn't just knee-jerk react to it. So, yeah, all of this is maturity emotionally over the years and getting better.
Sometimes I remember my friend recently called me. I think I was in the metro going somewhere, and he had some event at work, and he was literally shouting, "I'm going to do this!" Super angry, and in a very explosive, reactive state. And guess what I told him? I told him that I'm going to hang up. Call me back after 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And just breathe. Call me back after 30 minutes, because whatever I'm going to say right now is not going to get
Yeah.
here. Right now, you're not thinking.
Yeah.
So it's so important for us to give that pause, to give that break,
Mm.
and then
Mm.
look at that situation, just review it with
Yeah.
fascination and you'll find an answer.
Yeah. That's it. And we're emotional beings. We're going to have reactions to things. It's not about being a robot and never responding or reacting or having any triggers. It's about managing and regulating yourself
Dating.
better in
Beautiful.
as part of your self-love work. That is a skill and it needs to be practiced.
I
So
think it's such an important skill. It's a skill that no school teaches you, no
that's
degree,
it.
skill you don't learn at home. But this is the number one skill that you need to get through life.
Yes. Yes.
We are emotional beings, and there are going to be events which are going to trigger
Mm.
you.
Mm-hmm.
Any
That's
bit.
it. That's it. Yeah. And then we get to the spiritual self love, which we talk a lot about in regards to meditation, affirmations, and things like that. What would you suggest to improve that part of someone's
Yeah.
life?
So spiritual is a little advanced form of self-love. So I would say anyone who's looking to get on a self-love journey to first build the foundation, which is through good self-care, building
Mm.
good, and then, move on towards this higher level of consciousness, which is spiritual. So spiritual, two things. Number one is, I would say, the whole practice of gratitude. It
Mm-hmm.
is so important. Because it instantly shifts your vibration and energy. I've had clients who come to me in an extremely negative state, very depressed, and then just in 2, 3 minutes, I'm able to shift their energy, just by redirecting their focus on, okay, what in that moment they're grateful for. And no matter how bad your situation is, there's always stuff that
Mm.
you will be grateful for. So whether it's 5 things you can write down that you're grateful for, and just doing this gratitude prayer once a day, whether at night before you go to bed, you can say, I'm grateful for this good day. I'm grateful that I'm still alive. I'm grateful that I have a bed to sleep.
Mm.
And I'm grateful for air conditioning, little things. I'm grateful for the food I had or something you achieved that day is so important. And the energy of gratitude, even in the world of manifestation, brings you, more stuff to be grateful for.
Yes.
So that's one, I think, the most important part of
Yeah.
uh, cultivating gratitude in your day-to-day routine.
Yes.
And the second aspect of spirituality, I would say, is just training your, what do you call it, your intuition, and
Mm-hmm.
learn listen to your intuition. Um, yeah, because obviously we all have an inner voice, and there's a reason why we have an inner voice. So do what you love to do, and especially when it comes to career, your job. A lot of people find themselves in jobs that they don't love, but they do it because of certain pressures. Either it's financial pressure or it's cultural pressure, because those jobs are
Mm.
not kind of stuff. But then this is a very interesting thing that I learned from Marisa Peer. She says that if you suppress your desire or your wish, it's going to manifest in some form of physical illness over time. So, and Wayne Dyer, I'm sure a lot of people will know him. He says, do not die with your music still inside you,
Mm.
which is that follow your heart, follow your intuition. And once we learn to follow, listen to our heart and intuition, that's when we can actually truly live a fulfilling life of
Mm.
happiness. Because we are all, I strongly believe we are all here for a purpose. And that purpose is unique to each one of us. And we just need to
Mm.
find what your gift is and then build on that gift. Like both
Yes.
of us know what we are doing today is very different from what we were doing. You were also a
Mm.
teacher. I used to teach politics, right? But that
Mm.
was like my music is health, my music is self-love.
Yeah.
So is wellness, and that's pretty much what you're also doing. So we are giving back and we decided to, listen to our heart and
Yeah.
follow action and build on that. And that's so important. I think this is an expression of self-love, loving yourself, which is mean you
Mm.
doing things that give you joy and happiness.
Yes. Yes, it is. It is very important to listen, because there'll be so many people that will want to question your choice, to ask you, why are you doing that? You had a good career doing this. And there's all those forks in the road for many of us along the way, where we completely take a total change of career, a total change of how we live our lives. And it is something that you can't really explain when you finally decide to listen to the intuition, listen, and that being part of the self-love, making it heard, making it a priority to hear it. And wow, the freedom you feel from doing that over time is profound. And I mean, I can tell you, having listened in 2015, 2016, when I was working in retail and in shopping centers and doing work that I did love, but it was physically damaging me at the time, because it was moving a lot of heavy furniture and doing a lot of big installations for Christmas and Mother's Day and Valentine's and all these big, holiday times during the year. And I knew that I wouldn't be able to keep going. So my intuition was saying, you need to leave, you need to leave, you need to leave. And then the big question was, well, what do I do? And part of my spiritual self-love was to listen and go, okay, what am I interested in? I'm interested in self-help, personal development, Neville, Florence, on and on it went. But I was thinking, what the heck am I going to do with that? But it has now transformed into something which I so enjoy, and also gives me a lot of freedom to travel and be with the people I love, and to take care of myself. And the wonderful thing of being able to have time to learn, whether it's podcasts or YouTubes or whatever. And that is, having enough time, is such a wonderful thing. And I do say that to myself a lot. It's an affirmation I do. I have enough time, I have enough love, I have enough money, I have enough time, I have enough love, I have enough money. And I practice that, and I let go of any dissatisfaction, any I'm not getting enough, I want more, in my energy, in my vibration, because I know those things do not bring desired results. So those emotions, those hanging on to wanting things to hurry up and all of that, that is the energy that is not going to draw desired results and manifestations. So
I think you can always tap into the whole dimension of spirituality, and you can ask for guidance, divine guidance.
yes,
A lot
yeah,
of time you find yourself stuck. I mean, you want to go right or you want to go left, and that is when
mm,
you harness your intuition and you go into the whole idea of, infinite intelligence, give me a lead, or
yeah,
you ask for clarity, and trust me,
mm,
you'll always get clarity, always get a sign whenever
yeah,
you tap into divine, intuition.
mm, mm.
That's something
And
that both people can actually look into.
definitely. And you, I just remembered you and I, before we started to record, and this fits in with spiritual self-love, is practicing the Ho'oponopono, because the Ho'oponopono is about dissolving the part of me that created this thing that I'm not very happy with. So it's taking responsibility. It's saying, what do I need to dissolve within myself? What beliefs do I hold? Where am I still hanging on to childhood beliefs from my parents about money, about relationships, about sex, about looking after myself, about what career I want to choose? Ho'oponopono is such a wonderful tool of dissolving what is holding you gridlocked in a situation that you don't want. So I'm going to put down below in the description of this video a few things for you. Firstly, the amazing information that will send you to Hamza. He's got his own Instagram, and he's also got a wonderful self-love reference document where you can work through a lot of this in a lot more detail. We've just given you the tip of the iceberg today in what you can start on. And Hamza is on Instagram. You can message him and contact him via Instagram. I will also put his email down below if you would like to gain access to that document. He will send you the information. And also, there is the Ho'oponopono resources, the Self-Love Success Stories playlist, and the Self-Love Meditation, Self-Love Affirmations, and interviews. Hamza and I have done so many together that it is all in one playlist now. And we talk through many things along the journey. Hamza has got an amazing story of where he started in a relationship with a narcissist and how he unraveled himself from that and discovered the incredible benefits of self-love to unhook from that whole situation. And that's quite a long time ago for Hamza, but there has been many interviews in between. So that will be down below for you as well. Hamza, have you got anything else you want to tell the beautiful viewers that have made it this far in this discussion?
Well, I just want to say that, I mean, when I was, going through my own crisis back in 2017, I tried lots of stuff. I tried therapy. I don't know. There's nothing that I did not try. But the only thing that has worked is it wasn't until I embraced the idea of self-love and I started practicing it. And it's that I began to see, profound transformational changes in my life. And it's not something which will happen overnight. If you started today, you're going to get a lot of resistance from inside, because obviously everything you have been doing is against the idea of, and if you can overcome that resistance and do it with consistency and discipline, it's a total game changer. And I personally feel there's nothing in the world that you cannot achieve without, with radical self-love. So radical self-love is the answer, and prioritize it, get it. That is the foundation, whether you want money, whether you want love, until and unless you have yourself together, you have good self-worth, you have good self-care routine, your world is a reflection of your internal reality. So that's my message, that self-love is mission. And yeah, that's your mission. It should be your mission now.
Yes. Well, thank you for joining us, everyone. And all your extra resources will be down below if you want to go down the rabbit hole a bit further. And I'm sure you will see Hamza again, as we are like two parallel tracks running one next to the other at the moment, you and I, on this topic, because it's so important. So thank you for joining us, everyone. And as always, I will see you in another YouTube. Lots of love.